Yo, what's going on, guys? And we're hearing that the Golden State Warriors are looking at Jimmy Butler and they believe that's an unviable option, especially with how Jonathan Kuminga is currently playing. So, sprinkling up the rumor mill is the Golden State Warriors could be targeting Nikola Vucevic, according to The Athletic's Anthony Slater, Marcus Thompson, and our boy, I might be blanking on one more guy, but this is a report that's coming out. So before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me a trade that you think would be the trade that would have to happen for a guy like Nikola Vucevic to be brought over. Supposedly he's only the cost of a few second round picks. That's all the Bulls are asking for him. And he's actually having a better season than most people would think. He's currently averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, while averaging just under a steal and block a game, shooting 44% on almost 5 threes a game, 56% on 15 attempts from the field. And he actually grabs 2.5 rebounds a night. So he's clearly somebody who could be useful. So hit that like and subscribe button. And let's talk about the Golden State Warriors are exploring options to address their need for another scorer and a more dominant big man who can play next to Draymond, as getting a guy like Vooch would allow Dre to play the 4 and play the 5 when they want to go small ball, and allow for Trace Jackson Davis to be a microwave off the bench center to relieve Nikola Vucevic. So he's emerged Vucevic as a prime trade target. At 17-6 record, the Warriors sit in the 9th seed for the Western Conference. They've had some inconsistency on offense and defense, and Nikola Vucevic's skill set aligns with the Golden State Warriors system. He'd be a valuable addition to the Steve Kerr's lineup, and I think we're just going to talk today about his fit with the team, analyze how the trade would look like and why. So Vooch, as we talked about earlier, averaging 20 points a night, shooting 44% from 3. He would give them probably be their second best scorer. I know Kuminga and Wiggins are 2 capable scorers, so is Buddy Hield. However, Vooch would be a bona fide double, almost a 20 points per game scorer next to them. And he's actually a guy who would help make this team one of the more efficient shooting teams like they were at the beginning of the year, where right now they rank 15th in field goal percentage as a unit with 44.8% and 15 in 3-point percentage at 36.5. So that's a thing that bringing a guy like this will help the Warriors continue to play or get closer to playing that Warriors ball that we know they're so successful at doing. Nikola Vucevic's offensive versatility allowed him to play next to Trace Jackson Davis or Draymond Green or Jonathan Kuminga or Andrew Wiggins or obviously Curry, would allow for more spacing, allow him to attack the lanes and create mismatches. And I know defensively, Nikola Vucevic has some limitations, especially that he's kind of slow-footed, but I think that will be mitigated by Draymond Green's elite defensive versatility. And if they keep Kyle Anderson, which is expected, because why would you trade a contract that's somewhat loaded? I would not be surprised if they go out and get themselves a guy like a Vooch, and they already have the defensive players to hide his deficiencies. And the Warriors rank 8th in blocks per game already without Vooch there. That's 5.5. And Green's ability to guard multiple positions ensures that Vooch won't get overexposed in mismatches. And he's a guy who's almost averaging 11 rebounds or about 11 rebounds a game, which is not going to bolster Golden State's 7th ranked defensive rebounding rating. They're already one of the better rebounding teams in general. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the trade packages we have right here and why each one works. So we made sure that all these trade packages are able to work. I think that was the biggest thing that we wanted to do. And yeah, so let's get right to it. I'm going to show you all 3 on the screen right now, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Which one is the best potential trade for Mr. Vucevic? I personally think the deal that says Kevon Looney and Gary Payton II and Gui Santos is the best one, as I think keeping Kyle Anderson is going to help with the defense, and Gary Payton being expiring, it just works out well. So we're going to get into each one but the other one is Kyle Anderson and Kevon Looney, and then Gary Payton II, Kyle Anderson, and Gui Santos. So let's get right into each of these trades and explain why and the rationale behind it, because I think if we look at the situation for them currently, I'm just going to move this over here. Actually, probably better if we put this down here just so you guys can see it like that. Vuce is $20.1 million. $8 million is Looney expiring. Gary Payton, another expiring contract, 9.13. And Gui Santos is a guy who still has potential, but he's fallen out of favor with Golden State. So I think this gives Chicago an interior defender and just a guy to replace Vucevic's minutes with Jalen Smith still there. So Looney helps him out there, while they also get Gary Payton to help him out with defense. Both of those guys kind of fit Billy Donovan's style, and Gui Santos adds a developmental upside for the Warriors, swapping Looney for Vuce, and this kind of upgrades the offensive flexibility without much defensive impact. And I think that's a kind of the biggest thing when you look at a trade like that is, will this align? And one thing I will say is, if they throw in Lindy Waters, they could hypothetically also get Torrey Craig thrown in the deal. So don't be surprised if they want to expand the deal and they end up throwing in a guy like Kyle Anderson or somebody that we didn't expect because they want Mr. Torrey Craig, who could be a really good player for them. The next deal, Kyle Anderson and Kevon Looney, actually works. Kyle Anderson is currently, I don't know why it says expiring deal. That was actually supposed to be Kevon Looney on an expiring deal, but Kyle Anderson's reliability on a decently valued deal that they can flip either before this deadline or in the offseason will just, I think, and then Looney being an expiring deal just makes it an attractive deal for the rebuilding Bulls for cap flexibility. And all this would include second round picks, by the way. I just think it's a bit ostentatious once we start getting into the weaves of things. And it's a bit of a minutia conversation when we know the asking price is a couple second round picks. So we know a couple second round picks are already going to be in there. So I think that doesn't need to be said. Now, I think the Warriors retained depth while adding a scorer and a stretch big, and it doesn't affect them too hard. And the final one is, as you guys saw, Gary Payton, Kyle Anderson, and Santos. And all these deals work under the CBA and allows the Bulls to clear cap space, while also Golden State maintains Green's role as the defensive anchor while giving Steve Kerr the much needed upgrade. Again, I do believe that the best deal was the first one we looked at, which was Looney, Payton, 2 expiring, and then even Gui Santos, they can move off of that money rather easily. So for me, that just makes a ton of sense when you're looking at there. And just to finish this up, I think Steve Kerr's system, emphasizing ball movement, spacing, and unselfish play, will allow Nikola Vucevic's high basketball IQ, ability to facilitate from the post as a dribble handoff passer, running DHOs. And even if they run flare screens, they get guys like Buddy Hield, Steph Curry open, and his ability not only as a three-point shooter would stretch defenses, allowing for Kuminga and Wiggins and Curry to attack the rim. And I think the reliance on small ball lineups with Draymond Green can now be even more deadly, as Vucevic's ability to be the starting center and then Draymond Green be the small ball 5, or even if they want to go big, Trey Jackson-Davis and Vuce, and then you have out there Kyle Anderson and obviously, or just Wiggins, Buddy Hield, Curry, other defensive lineups you would assume right there. I mean, I think the ability to be that pick and pop and catch and shoot, and also a guy who can go inside, but the idea of Wiggins, Curry, either Kuminga or Moses Moody, or whoever you want to put there, but just the idea of having this switch heavy scheme, being able to not be impacted as I said, Curry, Moses Moody, Wiggins, Draymond Green, or Trayce Jackson-Davis, and Vuce would give them a very good two-way team. And I think the starting 5 of Curry, Wiggins, Green, Vuce, and you would assume that Kuminga would start then if you believe Wiggins can be the shooting guard, or Buddy Hield. And then you have also B-Pod and Moses Moody, who can help with the defensive side of things. And, a lot of them maximize their offensive firepower. And I think Vuce just complements the Warriors rotation and addresses them needing another legit bona fide scorer, and gets them a better rebounder, fixes the spacing and scoring issues. And I think he's a guy that out of everyone, he fits better than Jimmy Butler, and you're not giving up as much.